Hello everyone, welcome to week 4 of Whitby Guernsey Knit. So far this week I am actually on my stocking stitch knitting the rounds. So from last week I had done my 2x2 rib, and then I had to increase 16 stitches evenly around my jumper, and then I could start the stocking stitch. So my brother-in-law is his size. I needed to increase 16 stitches evenly around my 4 needles. So I divided 320 by 16 and I got 20. So I increased on the first stitch, knit 19, increased the next stitch, knit 19, increase the next stitch, knit 19, all the way around, and that worked out perfectly. So one of the mistakes I made, as I keep going on about reading the pattern, I read it incorrectly. So on my 2x2 rib, I said I had to create a false seam by knitting by purling at the opening side, purling 2 stitches to create a false seam. You didn't have to do it on the 2x2. So what has happened here is I've got 4 purl. So it's created, what should have happened is it knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, and it would have been even all the way around. When you get to the stocking stitch, you purl 2 to create the false seam, and that is where it looks much better. I contemplated pulling it out, but I have to try and get this finished for February, and the stitches are so difficult to see when you lose them. They really are tricky. And so I thought, do I pull it all out? It would mean pulling the welts out, because I would never get them all the stitches on evenly. And I thought, no, I'm not going to. It's a trial, so I'm going to just carry on. So that is quite a mistake, really. The other thing is, I'm sat here on the settee because no way can I show you how to knit when I'm at the kitchen table. It was just knocking against everything, so I'm sat here. And the other thing is, you'll be wondering why I've got all these different endings on the needles. I was held up so much since week 3 trying to knit around. I was losing stitches all the time, so I thought, what could I do? My white tack wasn't working, it kept dropping off, and then I'd lose stitches at one side, then stitches at the other, and I was trying to pick them up with my crochet hook, but it's just so difficult to see on a night time is the time that I'm able to do the knitting. So that didn't work. So I went down to my local shop where I could get things from the haberdashery, and they had these needle protectors. That's all they had, so I got those, but they're not working. They're dropping off all the time, I think because the needles are so thin. So today I found some polystyrene. I've got 2 polystyrene balls and some bits of polystyrene, and so far they are holding. They're getting in the way a bit, but they are holding. So I'm now on to just my stocking stitch, but it's just knit because I'm knitting in the round, and I've got to, where am I? Just try and sort it out and show you where I'm up to. So I'm up to here. I'll get my wool around, and it's still quite tricky, but I'll just come closer for this. You can see how it's so much easier being able to knit on a settee where you've got the room to place your needles where you want them and they're not hitting against things. So I can get to that stage, and I'll knit around and I'll get back to you to see whether the polystyrene is working. Right, we're coming to the end of another week, and this is how much I have knitted so far. I don't seem to be knitting as fast as I usually do, and I don't seem to be able to get into a rhythm because I keep having to check that the polystyrene hasn't come off and therefore that I haven't lost any stitches. I haven't lost quite as many stitches, so it's getting a little bit easier. I'm going to show you if I can lift it up, if I can lift the Guernsey up, and that's what it's looking like so far. I'm quite pleased with it. I just would have liked to have done a lot more knitting. So I've looked at the pattern and I've got to now knit up to the underarm gussets. So I've got to knit, for my size, the one that I'm knitting, I've got to knit to 35 centimetres. However, I'm going to have to decide whether I'm going to put a pattern in. So and whereabouts I'm going to start the pattern. So I'm going to look at my books and see roughly whereabouts they begin when a pattern starts, and I'll try and look at some old photographs as well to see. And that's as far as I've got. So next week's video, let's hope that I've got quite a substantial amount done, because it doesn't look as though I'm going to reach the February deadline. Right, thank you everyone for watching, and see you next week.